This meeting is being live streamed. All
I
right,
hope so.
I'm ready when you are.
Let's do it. Where did they have the record button? There it is. Oh, let's put that in the toolbar.
Hello and welcome to the Warrior House podcast, where Warrior Pride lives. I'm your host, Ryan Reingart, joined by my co-host, Mike Sangster. Thanks for joining us on episode 133 of the Warrior House podcast, the start of season 5 of the Warrior House podcast.
Season
Um,
five, it's crazy. And even after a late start to season one, but still nonetheless.
I was going to
You're
spit a
back.
fact at you, Sangster, and say, like, we've been doing this podcast just about as long as you were actually at Wayne State as a student.
Yeah, because so we gotta go back to 20
December 2022.
December 22. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, four years. Next year
If
we'll be doing this as long as you were at Wayne State.
Yeah, if you need a minute to gather yourself, feel free. Um, but yeah, we're back. You're right. Season 5. It feels crazy that we've been doing it that long, but time flies when you're covering Wayne State athletics, and we're finding that out firsthand. And we're on to our 5th year now, so this is fantastic. So, a lot of changes came up over the summer. Quite a bit has actually come up. Some things around campus we want to cover. We want to talk about a little bit of a recap of the 2025 to 26 season, just to get everybody up to speed on what had happened last year. Of course, we'll take a break in the middle of the episode. We'll preview ahead, but before we get into some of the stuff that's happened, I just wanted to reiterate because it's very possible that we have some people who are finding us for the first time. We're just about to the start of the school year. We want to let everybody know, again, if you're tuning in for the first time, as I mentioned in the intro, my name is Ryan. This is Mike. I call him Sangster because that's what I call him. That's his last name, and it feels right. It would feel wrong to call him by his first name. We are graduates of Wayne State University. Ever since we graduated, we've been very, very rabid followers of athletics. And we run the Warrior House for the sole purpose of we want to shed light on what's going on in Wayne State University, specifically around athletics. We will dabble into the happenings on the educational side of campus, if you will, every so often, and just some of the happenings around the Midtown Detroit area. We're big fans of it. Love hanging out around there. If you find us on game day, we're going to be around more than likely. Even on non-game days, we might be hanging around. And as you'll find out as time goes on, we cover quite a bit of stuff, especially as we get into the first quarter of the year, right around like March is when we start to talk a lot about some of the happenings and highlight some cool places that exist around Midtown. So that's a very quick lowdown on what we do. And again, why we do it. We want to shed light on what happens at Wayne State. Loved our time there. We get back as often as we can. And we love that people can have the same experience that we did, if not a better experience. So that's us, Sangster.
Yeah, no doubt there have been some big changes in and around Wayne State ever since we were there. Uh, I mean, when we were there, Little Caesars Arena was just getting built. General Motors was still in the Renaissance Center, and we didn't have probably about half the amount of spots that you can go now as a Wayne State student. So, uh, really big stuff happening in and around campus. We'll try and talk a little more about around Midtown, maybe in some future episodes. This is definitely going to be very focused on athletics, what's coming up, what happened in the last year. So let's start off with some big changes that did happen over the summer. First and foremost is the new Wayne State soccer team competing at the Division II level in the NCAA. Previously, and they probably still do, Wayne State has had a pretty large club soccer team for both men and women, utilizing the same field now that the varsity team will be playing on. Uh, it still doesn't quite feel real. We haven't had a sport added to Wayne State since the women's golf team a few years back, and yeah, it's great that we have a women's golf team, but it's not necessarily one of those sports that you're going to be charging admission for. That people are necessarily going to go down and see and especially, it's not like it's a PGA Tour thing where you've got stands set up all around the golf course. It's more of a check the scores. Maybe they'll let you go visit a hole or two. But Wayne State Soccer, they're selling season tickets right now. Uh, Portions of the former practice field, now the Wayne State Soccer Stadium, are finished. When I last drove by, they've got the scoreboard up, press box probably next year. Uh, Stands are out there. Things are happening, and Wayne State Soccer will be competing in the NCAA in 2026 and 27.
Yeah, I mean that is extremely exciting because you're exactly right. I mean, this is the first sport that we've had since women's golf has joined on, and to this day, I've never been to a women's golf event. I've never been to a college golf event. I've been to other golf events and they're a ton of fun, but it's the experience of being there. You got the stands, you get to walk around, you get to hang, whatever. There's a lot going on there. So I love the women's golf team. They've been a lot of fun to follow over the past couple of years. But you're exactly right. When you walk into Tom Adams Field, for example, you see you're right next to the soccer field. You get to see that. We used to practice marching band on what is now the soccer field. The surface has changed quite a bit.
Yes.
They did a lot of work to it, and they needed
It is
to.
no
So,
longer crowned grass with
yeah,
incandescent lights that didn't work after they put the video board up.
and molehills and holes in the ground. Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. So that's just one of the changes that we have coming up. We're very excited to talk about it, and we're going to get right into soccer here in the second half. But that's going to be exciting, as you mentioned, Sangster. When you were driving around campus, getting to see some of the improvements over on the soccer stadium, I just noticed some other small improvements here and there. They've added a little bit. They have added some trees just behind the field house, kind of doing up the area a little bit, making it look a little bit, honestly, more appealing rather than just open field. Just little things like that I was able to notice. Some of the stuff I want to say on the back of the football stadium were going on. Not a whole lot of stuff, but just some things that kind of caught my eye. Definitely excited to see as we get onto campus here within the next week or two and see some of those other improvements.
Yeah, and if you take a drive up Third Street, you'll see also that the Keast Commons area looks like they finished that up now. Back when we were there, it was kind of the same as it is now, but with some sand volleyball courts. They took those out for some reason years ago. Then they demolished the DeRoy apartments, which again really dates us here. But it looks like they finished up that common area now. More green space, more areas for people to hang out, enjoy nature during this periods of time when Wayne State's in session. That you do get to do that. And also, the last big change is obviously we'll touch on it later. Football coaching. New staff is in here, new way of thinking, uh, pretty much almost no holdovers, maybe one or two guys coaching that are coming in for this 26-27 season. A lot of new guys being welcomed to Wayne State, and also some at least slight uniform tweaks as well. If you haven't seen on socials already, go ahead. Wayne State now has gold helmets for the first time in uh, a long time, probably at least since the 80s. Now back then it was more of like a Notre Dame gold. Now over the years they've had several rebrands. Now Wayne State's more of a green and gold and yellow, but they are gold helmets again. Uh Unsure if they're going to use them for away games. We haven't seen an official away uniform yet. Everything that we're seeing though indicates that they're going to be using those now for the home uniform, which admittedly was pretty green heavy.
Yeah, no doubt. So you mentioned football. We'll talk right. We're going to get right into that. So we're going to do a quick recap of what happened in 2025 to 26. Get everybody up to speed. Talk about some of the things briefly. We're going to obviously talk more into these sports as they come up, as we highlight, the start of the season for each of these teams, what our hopes are, so on and so forth. But let's start with football. So in 2025 to 26, the Wayne State football team, the season was bad, to put it lightly. Early on, there were two games that were close. After that, it got really bad. I mean, at the end of the season, getting steamrolled by I
Roosevelt
don't
and
I
Northern.
was gonna say I don't mean no offense by it, but it is a little bit offensive of saying like Roosevelt, Northern Michigan rolled over us. I didn't think highly of either of those teams, as nobody should. They were not amazing teams, but they steamrolled us. And at the end of a horrible season, you're going to both of those 0-9. Nobody's feeling good. Coaches are probably not feeling good at that point. All hope is seemingly lost at that point. So not exactly the way that you want the season to go. And you get to that point, it just basically was like, this was an awful season. Following the season, a ton of coaching turnover happened by Coach Tyrone Wheatley's choice. He made the decision to clean house essentially, and also himself decided to leave the house and not come back. So he's over at the University of Illinois now. So go ahead and fertilize the soil there. Best of luck there. But prior to
You think he's going
Coach,
to return a lot of production in the running back?
yeah, you have to. I don't know what you do otherwise. But prior to him leaving, I don't know the entire inner workings of how all of this worked out. But Coach Terrence Isaac was coming in to be the offensive coordinator for the Wayne State football team, and shortly after that, we found out Coach Tyrone Wheatley was leaving. So it was a wild 2 weeks. We had a emergency episode, as we call it, where we're like, hold on a second, we now have an entirely new coaching staff. And so, yeah, that's the update. It was a awful year record wise. The off season was honestly kind of what Sangster and I hoped. We were kind of hoping to see a little bit of turnover. This was a complete turnover. I wasn't saying I wanted to see every coach go away, but I wanted to see, some transitions happen there. And that is exactly what we got. Funky way to get there, but we got there nonetheless. So all of that to say, and I'm going to throw it over to you, Sangster. Let's go, Coach Isaac and the Wayne State Warriors. Let's turn the ship around. Of course, we're going to highlight what our hopes are and more about the season coming up. But at the very least, I'm behind Coach Isaac.
Yeah, no doubt that we're behind Coach Isaac. I think the only comment I've got is that I was at Michigan State as a student during the D'Antonio to Mel Tucker transition, and as much as we love Coach D, he royally screwed Michigan State his last few years. There are a lot of comps that you can make between the Wayne State situation and the Michigan State situation. That's definitely one of them. I think the difference here is that I think that Coach Isaac is actually going to be a good coach. But we'll see what happens this year. This year, given all the circumstances that have happened, we'll talk about it probably in the next episode. There might not be a whole lot that can be done this year, but there is the foundation here, I think, to turn something around. And we're going to learn really quick what this coaching staff can do with these guys. There are a bunch of new players coming in, a lot of transfers, some from JUCO, some from other NCAA institutions. So we'll see what they can make happen with basically an entirely new roster. What can they do different with these guys that are here to get better results on the field? Like you said, there were some close games last year. I just pulled the schedule back up. There were definitely that one game against Findlay, a 3-7 loss. That's one that you should have had. Wisconsin lacrosse, 22-31 in their place. They're a very good Division III team. Probably should be D2 if Wisconsin wasn't stupid with their laws about scholarship, whatever. Even the game against Saginaw Valley, 7-28, yeah, a 3-score game. When you look at the rest, it's one of the better games that Wayne State had. You would like to think that this year, being at Wayne State, you could do something with that. And just the element of surprise too. Coach Wheatley, that's going to be hard to say. Coach Isaac has made no bones about it that Wayne State is going to be throwing the ball this year. He said it. The offensive coordinator said it. Wide receivers coaches said it. Wayne State will be throwing this year, which is a big departure from the Coach Wheatley system that we've seen the last few years. So maybe you get that element of surprise just with a completely different system. For the very least, the first game, if it can work out, it sets you up for the rest of the season. Hey, you get a win on the board, and somewhere you can find one. So needless to say, we'll talk about it later, but definitely looking forward to see what Coach Isaac can do with this team.
Yeah, 100%. A lot coming up about football. We got some exciting things happen to talk about, and some things planned around Wayne State football. We'll all learn more about it as we get closer to the season. But again, recapping 2025-26, the Wayne State volleyball team, this was the team of the fall for us. We talked about it closing out, the fall of last year and the entire season number 4. This was the team of the fall. They blew through the regular season competition, looked fantastic, won the GLIAC title. They did get bumped in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which was an absolute bummer. And one of the things I remember we talked about, Sangster, was it's okay to say we had an amazing season that ended in a letdown, because like that's to say like this team played extremely well, that our hopes were not necessarily to go out and win a national title, but like make a good run into the tournament. I mean, you did all of this stuff in the season. You had Kayla Giroux, you had Kayla Dalger, who were both first team all GLIAC. Kayla Giroux did end up graduating following the season. So, I'll talk about highlighting the volleyball season here in a couple of minutes, but this was the team of the fall. There were some matches that we were in attendance for that the Wayne State golf coach was in attendance for, and he was loud and vocal and having a blast, and you could just feel it when you were at the Mathi, which seems like it's designed to be able to hold in all of that excitement and make everybody feel like it's lively, and that's exactly what it was. So volleyball was a ton of fun. Excited to see. We'll highlight them in a couple of minutes here, but they were a lot of fun, and I'll say it forever. If you have not been to a Wayne State volleyball match and you are anywhere near in the vicinity of a Wayne State volleyball game, go one time. And if you hate it, don't ever go again. And tell me, Ryan, you were wrong. I hated it. But I challenge you. If there's one that you can go to, like this Wayne State volleyball environment is a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you're not a student, it's the best $5 or $10 you can spend on a Friday or Saturday night, whatever. If you're a Wayne State student, it's free, so why not go? Uh, Definitely having volleyball in the math, I think it's the perfect size for it because I think they say it seats 1,000. That'd be really, really tough. I mean, you'd be shoulder to shoulder with everybody, but it's a smaller venue. I think it's the right size for volleyball. Maybe not so much for basketball anymore, but definitely a good time to go down there. That they make a good production out of it. Uh, Nice things to see. They freshened it up a bit. New wall murals, new floor that they put in last year. So really good stuff from Wayne State volleyball. Really transforming the Mathi from what was just a general purpose gym into a true basket to a true volleyball facility that in theory they could still use for basketball practice, things like that. But talking about basketball, though, moving on to the winter season, we got the men's basketball team last year. There was some big turnover going in before the season. You had 3 guards transfer. Uh, Fun fact, they were all the leading scorers at their respective schools that they went to. Kind of a bummer, especially for one guy who will remain nameless. Unfortunately for Wayne State, that resulted in the men's team staying kind of right around where they've been the past couple seasons, right around that 500 mark. So it was kind of a bummer because you would have liked to see, some of those other guys that transferred stick around at least one more year, probably take that next step, probably get Wayne State, make a deep GLIAC tournament run, probably at least get a lower seed bid to the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and there's kind of more of the same going into this to this season because we're still getting that same turnover. So that's just kind of the reality of college basketball. Now the flip side is they've brought in some guys from some other schools, including one in the GLIAC. We got a big player coming out of Lake State, so it's kind of the unfortunate reality, I think, in college basketball, especially where the delineation of who should go to a Division II school versus who goes to a mid major, who maybe is on the lower end of a high major team. It's so fluid, and these guys that they can grow during the season. Some guys that are at a higher level, maybe they don't necessarily take the next steps that some of the best players do. So you get that kind of you get transfers between uh, all different schools, and you kind of never know who you're going to get in a particular year. Wayne State, unfortunately, has been in that position where they're, I think, positioned highly looked at as a place where guys can go. We've certainly picked up guys from, Macomb Community College before. That seems to be a big pipeline for us, and maybe that is the reality for a lot of Division II schools. I mean, look at Ferris; they lost their coach to Central. He brought a lot of their guys with him there. So that's kind of the reality with men's basketball last season.
Yeah, and talking about that briefly, to me, it makes it to where coaching is more important than ever. because
Yeah.
it's another aspect where, previously before the transfer portal was this huge thing where you get into some small school, show up, put up some numbers, put a good word out there, make it known that you're a good person to have on a team, and then transfer your way up to a bigger stage. It wasn't necessarily if you don't get into Duke, if you don't get into Michigan, Michigan State, whatever, you're not going to the NBA. That's not necessarily the case anymore. But that also means that all of these coaches that are not at the premier schools, I mean, even if you are at a premier school, you are in danger of possibly losing some of your bench or role players to other schools. So, like, there's so much turnover that happens that you probably have your pulse, your thumb on the pulse of like who's thinking what, because I would hope you are if you're a good coach. But like year in and year out, your team looks completely different. So you got to understand what the dynamic of your team is, understand who your leaders are, who's sticking with you, who's putting up numbers, who does this player play the best? Like all of those things to me, it makes it to where you're coaching basketball still. Like that's obviously what you're doing, but like there's so many other factors that come along with it now that you have to be considering that if you're going to be a high quality coach, Dusty May, you end up going into the NBA and it's like, he was really, really good at it. I don't know if that's going to translate to the NBA, who knows, but like, it's just, there's so much more I feel in my personal humble opinion to coaching a collegiate basketball team than ever before.
Yeah, no doubt. You hit on exactly that. You got to keep your finger on the pulse of not only your own team, but what is everyone else doing. Like, if there's a guy that you think may transfer, I'm not saying do the whole what do you call it, tampering, but keep a tab on him.
Yeah.
Maybe pick him up. You never know what can happen. And I think that Coach Smothers has touched on that before. Obviously, he is not doing the whole Dusty May tampering thing, but he has recruited guys here to transfer that, he's talked to before that he might have initially recruited out of high school. And if their name pops up in the portal, he's going to go say, "Hey, we've had this relationship already. Why don't you give us a second chance?" And that's I think how he's gotten a couple of guys already.
Yeah, 100%. So, quick little detour on that conversation. So, the Wayne State women's basketball team was our team of the winter. They were also unbelievable to watch. They split the season with Grand Valley. Grand Valley went on to win. Grand Valley lost one game last season, and that was to Wayne State. We were the only team to beat Grand Valley. And honestly, we were the only one that was even close to beating Grand Valley. Well, we did beat them. We almost beat them twice, Sangster. We were very, very close to them two times. So that was absolutely amazing to see. The regular season was outstanding. We did end up getting bumped by Ferris State in the GLIAC tournament. Bummer there. And then Wayne State goes on to the NCAA tournament, wins game number one, moves on to take on Grand Valley. And Grand Valley, unfortunately, kind of steamrolled us in the NCAA tournament. And don't even get me started on how seeding and regions and all that stuff works in D2. It's bullcrap. I think we played two back-to-back LEAC tournament teams in the NCAA tournament, but whatever. We can't really change that. At least Sangster and I can't do that. So it was it was an unbelievable season. I mean, the Wayne State women's basketball team, most of the time that we've been around, have been a very exciting team to watch. They've been competitive, had some down years, had some incredibly high seasons, and last season was, right up there with the best of them from what I recall.
Yeah, short of making a Sweet 16, I believe that's been their ceiling. Um, two outstanding seasons in a row. You get 2 years where you're at least making it to the round of 32. 2 years, unfortunately, also where you just run into bad luck with the seeding. And uh, I'll say it, and it's even a problem with uh March Madness Division 1 basketball that when they make these seeds, you can always play the game of, man, if we were put here, 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 we could have gotten farther. I think it's a lot more so in Division 2 because of the regionality of it. When they have the Midwest region or they have the East region, unlike in the NCAA Division 1 tournament, it actually means something in Division 2. And the unfortunate reality of that is you're going to run into teams you've played a lot pretty early on in the tournament. So it's a bummer that it had to happen that way. Would I be as down about it if they had gotten bounced by, say, a GMAC team? Probably not. But the fact that it happened so early against another GLIAC opponent, that was kind of a bummer. So still, it's exactly what we said about volleyball, that it was an outstanding season that ended on a bummer of a game. And yeah, I mean, there's only one team at the end of the year that's going to be happy. So yeah, I guess Wayne State kind of joins the crowd there, but still being able to say you made the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row, that you made it at least a game into the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row. There's something there, something that it, at least when we were at Wayne State early on, it was kind of like that. Later on, not so much. So good stuff happening from the Wayne State women's basketball team last season. Also, last team of the winter, the men's and women's swim and dive teams. The men had a solid regular season. They ended up finishing second at in the GLIAC championships. They ended up in the NCAA championships again. They were right in the middle of the pack, finishing 14th out of 31 teams competing. The women kind of had a bit of a down year. It feels weird to say a down year is a third place finish at GLIACs, but that that's how high of a standard we have for them. They did make it to nationals, unfortunately. Excuse me, finishing 30 out of 35 squads there.
Yeah, that was taking us back to the Mathi, which, for those that didn't know, the Mathi was built as part of a bid to get the Olympics to come to Detroit in 1968. Let everybody know that one. Hopefully that makes it out on the socials. But again, it's going to be a while before we're talking too much about swimming and dive. But when it does come up, we're going to say it, and I'm going to preview it right now. When it's the middle of January and it's cold outside, there's nowhere better to be than the Mathi. Just go in that humid, toasty room. It's fantastic. And just listen to the loud whistling. It's amazing. The cross country teams, kind of a really, really quick season for both of them. The men's cross country team, they ended up getting a couple wins during the season. And then once we got to the Midwest Regional, they ended up placing ninth out of 29 teams. And the women's team was eerily similar. Got a couple of wins throughout the season, ended up finishing 10th out of 27 at Midwest Regional. Competitive, some big names in there that we were following throughout the season, as has been the case, honestly, for both of those teams for the past couple of seasons that we've been following and doing the podcast. They stay competitive, they stay fun to follow, and we're always in the conversation of, are we going to be able to get some of these athletes to the national level? And, I'm highlighting right now that we're probably going to be talking about that again as we get into their part of the season, again, a couple of weeks from now, but another fun one to follow. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Looking at some other running sports, we've had the Wayne State women's track and field team. The indoor season during the winter ended with a second place finish at the GLIAC championships. Nobody was competing at nationals in that one. In the outdoor season during the spring, same story. Wayne State finishes second in the GLIAC championships. Megan Zanow ended up competing at nationals. Unfortunately, nobody else made it, but there were plenty of school records broken, just showing the elevation of this team over the past few years.
Yeah, if we were to talk about all the school records that were broken, we would be here. It's 8:42 p.m. right now. We'd be
Yeah, it
here
would be
until
here.
tomorrow.
Oh,
So there were a lot. So again, definitely, I'm letting you know right now. We're going to be talking quite a bit about them as their season goes on. Another fun one for us, especially as we get into the spring sports, and I'm very high on spring sports. I think they're very underrated. I think more people should pay attention to spring sports, but I also think more people should pay attention to Wayne State sports in general.
we're also a
There it
little
is.
biased because the spring sports are usually the best sports that Wayne State has.
Yeah, they're highly, highly competitive. So the Wayne State women's tennis team, they did end up going 8-9, which is a little bit deceiving because there were a number of top 10 opponents that they took early on in the season. Had a good first match in the GLIAC tournament. Ultimately, they did end up losing to Grand Valley in that one. And then over on the men's side, they ended up going 14-11, 4-2 in GLIAC play, and they ran through the GLIAC tournament, almost winning a championship. Got bumped by Ferris State, which one of the things I mentioned last season was men's tennis has run through Wayne State and Ferris State. Like those are the best two teams. I can't make sense of it because it's just they've just consistently been the champion in this. So, and then the giant bummer, unfortunately, for the Wayne State men's tennis team was they did make it to NCAA's to get bumped by Northwood by a final score of 4-1. If you don't know tennis, 4-1 is
It's
also a
almost
little bit deceiving. It is almost a
well,
shutout, but it's possible it could have ended up being a 4-3 finish. It had you played
right.
all of the matches out, but nonetheless, like coming into that match, we were like, we feel like we got a good chance against Northwood, and it can
Nope.
just turn that quick in tennis. So that is the unfortunate thing there. So, but again, a fun season, lots of good athletes there. Bummer way to end it, and they're yet again going to be another fun team to follow this upcoming season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Looking at baseball, they finished with a 37-16 record, 17-7 in the GLIAC. Really good way to have a regular season there in baseball because kind of looking at last year it was a down year for Wayne State baseball, which means they were flirting right around 500, which is a really good thing to say about any college team. Saying that your down year is right average. Uh, so Wayne State baseball had a really nice run during the regular season. Had a nice run in the GLIAC tournament. Kind of had an abrupt ending there, though. At a new venue for the GLIAC tournament up in Utica at it's not Jimmy John's Field anymore. It's
UWM.
UWM Field, whatever. Uh, so
I
Wayne
heard that
State did
stock's
end
down
up.
80. I heard that baseball field's down 80% right now. Just kidding.
uh, so Wayne State did end up making it into the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, uh, in the baseball tournament, it's a double elimination style. Unfortunately, Wayne State had two straight losses right away to end their season, but they did get back into the NCAA tournament after a again a last year where it wasn't necessarily their best season that they've had. Also looking at softball, softball's been kind of a letdown for a while now, and they kind of let down even more. Unfortunately, they missed the GLIAC tournament after a 1-8 record closing out the season. So we'll talk a little more about that. I think Ryan's got some comments on that in our next segment, but kind of a bummer for softball.
Yeah, coming down the stretch, especially because, up until that 9 game stretch, like you're looking at a team that was in contention and you're like, if you can just continue to maintain, suddenly you're in not barely into the GLIAC tournament. You're probably a 5 seed, maybe a 4 seed. I'd have to go back and look at the standings,
Right.
and then you
That's
rattle
what it
off
felt
one
like.
and eight. It's like now
What
we
can
don't
you
even
do
have
with
a
that?
chance now, and you don't even have a chance to play yourself into NCAA. It would have been a stretch regardless to get into the NCAA tournament. But no matter what, like that was a stinger of a season to end on. The fencing. Let's get on to fencing here. The Wayne State women's fencing team. There were plenty of outstanding performances, highlighted by Ludovica Mancini, Rika Galfalvi, and Anna Asuero Gonzalez. They end up making it on to nationals where they placed 13th out of 20. So, I mean, you're dangerously close to the top half of the field in that one. So that's very exciting. And then over on the men's side, Ayad Maroof and Mahmoud El Sayed definitely led the way for Wayne State last season. Ayad Maroof had a fantastic showing in nationals, as did Mahmoud El Sayed. But it is worth noting that at the end of all of that, Mahmoud did end up getting black carded, which is basically you got disqualified. So his record from that event got wiped out. And it's also worth noting that, kind of highlighting a little bit, he's not on the 2026 to 27 roster. I couldn't find a documented reason why that is the case. He's just not on the roster right now. And he was a freshman last year. So, um, TBD what happened. If we find something, we'll definitely report it. But again, like I said, there's nothing been put out on the Wayne State Athletics site or, anything that I could find online, just briefly trying to do some research there. So, um, we'll see. It definitely changes the dynamics of the team, but for better, for worse, I don't know. It's just what I was able to find.
Yeah, and something that Coach Tollner said relayed to us early on when he was brought in is just him trying to increase the size of both the men's and the women's team, bring in, fresh players. Yeah, Mahmoud is a very good fencer. I have full faith that Coach Tollner's can find more guys to compete here for Wayne State and keep us at
Completely
that
agree.
level, maybe even exceed it. You never know who you're going to find.
Completely agree.
And last but not least, the last Wayne State sports that we had last season, golf. Just so you know, we are amazing at golf right now.
5 handicap.
Yeah,
We're good.
maybe add like a zero at the end of that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still trying to break 100. My best score was just about a month and a half ago where I shot 104. And it was an honest 104. That wasn't like 18 breakfast balls and I count that 10-footer good. Like, no, it was honest. I worked hard to get that 104.
I'm not at the point where I can keep honest scores yet. But uh, players that are better than us are on Wayne State, men's and women's teams. On the women's side, they took home, they had a few top three finishes throughout the season. Uh, in the GLIAC championships, they finished fourth out of 8 teams competing. They were also in the NCAA East Regional, where they finished 14th out of 18 teams. Definitely going to be looking for some improvement coming up this season. Uh, Big things happened the season before with Tingyu Kwa going to NCAA Nationals as a single player. Unfortunately, that didn't happen this year. But on the men's side, they took home some not just top three, but some first place finishes throughout the season. Unfortunately, it didn't translate to the GLIACs so much, finishing fourth out of 9 teams at the GLIACs. In the NCAA, they got a super regional there. They finished 12th out of 20 teams competing there. They were in fifth place after day one. Unfortunately, it kind of dropped out from them the other couple days, the other couple rounds that they were there. So hopefully, looking for a little more consistency, which I definitely don't have in my golf game. And they should definitely be fun to follow.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if there's one theme as we wrap up this first section here, is there were a ton of highlights from this last season for every team. Like every team had a moment where they were playing like a team that you needed to pay attention to. And unfortunately, like you said, Sangster, a number of the teams had those moments where they kind of started to let some stuff slip a little bit and got themselves out of contention. You know, you talk about a men's golf team, top five suddenly in super regional after the first day, and it fell away from there. The softball team were looking like a really, really competitive team that were going to make some noise possibly in the GLIAC tournament and kind of let it slide from there. So, of course, you know, you talk about like how good are these teams going to be? How consistent are they going to be? That's nothing new. We're not making stuff up over here, but like that's a known thing. Like you got to be a consistently competitive team if you want to if you want to do well. But regardless of any of what I just said, there were some moments where our teams showed that they're very competitive. We have some players in place. We have the environment in place. We have a lot of things in place for these teams to be good. It's just where are we going to be at this season? So, as we normally do, what we do is we kind of like look back in the first half of the episode. And the second half of the episode, after we take a break here, we're going to look forward. So we're going to talk about what we're hoping to see this season. We'll probably highlight mostly fall sports, get into a little bit of spring, and then the most exciting thing of all, Sangster, we get to talk about actual Wayne State athletics events that are happening this week. We've made it. It feels like it was a long summer. It wasn't really a long summer. It felt like it was about 3 weeks, but we're back and we're going to be talking about real Wayne State athletics events that are happening this week. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
There we go.
Man,
I
that
just
had to be
pulled up
every minute about 35 minutes.
a
That's okay. Our episodes are good. You just pulled up what?
my chart of Wayne State's finish for uh, national playoffs this year in the Directors Cup.
Mm.
Get I have teams on here that are no longer in the GLIAC, so 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Who's missing? Yeah, so I got this chart that shows like the performance in like national playoffs for all the GLIAC teams, including ones that aren't here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously Grand Valley won it all again. Bummer. Uh But once you get past Grand Valley, of the teams that are still in the GLIAC, it's basically for like just until we got to Wayne State. Wayne State was the second best. Obviously, like Ashland was there when we were there. Now it's kind of like this amalgamation of Wayne
Saginaw,
State.
Ferris,
Well,
Wayne State.
Ferris was next at 39 out of all schools. Northern was 61. We were 65.
Hmm,
Let's see. Total.
that's a scooch of a drop off. Why was
Yeah.
Northern so good? Basketball. Track and field. No, they're not even really that. I mean, they're three.
Yeah, Grand Valley was one, Northern 61, SVSU 64, Wayne State 65, Ferris 39. So like this is kind of a down year for us. We were 39 last year. Just going back, 23, 24 was 44, 22, 23, 21, 22, 32, 80, 55. So yeah, when for reference, when we were there starting 2012 the 13th, this is out of all Division two schools, 39th, fifth in the conference, 14th, third in the conference, 33rd, fourth in the conference, 84, ninth in the conference, 55, seventh in the conference. Then we graduated. 80
Hmm.
and 6, 32 and 3, 22 and 2, 21 and 2, and then yeah, back down 44 and 3, 39 and 3, 65 and 5.
Mm, football, man.
I
That
mean, that's
football
part of
drop
it,
off.
but it's not the entire story, but that's certainly part of it.
Yeah.
What's
Dang.
funny, like 2011, which is, football, that wasn't even our best year. Best year was the 2008-2009 season, good old global financial crisis. We were 11th out of all Division two schools.
Dang.
And Grand Valley won it, of course.
Naturally. Naturally.
The other chart I
Alrighty.
thought I had, but I can't find. I thought I charted out Wayne State football attendance over the years.
I mean, I definitely tracked that at one point. I made my report around that one, but I didn't have
Oh, maybe you did it
I
then.
didn't have a dedicated Power BI space to be able to continue to pull that data because that's how
Oh,
Power BI works. It's probably a way to do it in Excel, but
I
like
just
I
use
don't.
Excel,
Well,
but I
like
input the data
I would like.
manually.
I was gonna say I would have to straight up connect to, and this is YouTube preview here. Querying HTML is not amazing. It's not a SQL database, so you have to identify where on a page, which is the way that the Wayne State data is set up, exactly where the data is that you care about, rather than saying hit this section of this database, and it's a headache. So maintaining it would be not a full time job, but it would require multiple hours a week, which yeah,
Mm, yeah. Yeah, luckily this is just a few numbers now that I have the initial chart. It's only like maybe an hour updated every year.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not bad at that point. All righty. Are we
Yep,
ready?
I think so.
Alrighty. I
You.
don't have to sneeze. I thought I had one coming in. I'm ready when you are. And we're back. It's time to highlight what we got 2026 to 27, Sangster. before we talk about some of the action we have coming up, I want to talk kind of like season holistically. If you want to break it down to just the fall or just upcoming sports, be my guest. I'm all in. Do
You
what you
can
would
break it
like to
down to
do.
whatever you want.
But I wanted to kind of look at the season and say, like, going into this athletic season, what are some of the hopes that we're looking for? I think we're going to have some similar themes, especially being the first sport that I'm going to talk about. But for me, I want to talk soccer, volleyball, football, men's basketball, baseball, and softball. A third of the teams that we have. Wow, Ryan, way to be selective. But soccer to me is such an intriguing one because it is the first sport coming up. And really, this one is, can this team hold their own in a conference that seems like it's been dominated by Grand Valley? What else is new? But this is a new team with like brand new, like new coaches, new players. This team has, Wayne State has never fielded a women's soccer team at the varsity level before. You mentioned the club soccer, but like at the varsity level, we haven't done this before. So, what is this team going to look like? For me, can we be competitive? Can we be somewhere in the middle of the standings? That is going to be kind of my benchmark for how excited am I about the team. I'm going to be excited regardless. It's soccer. I like watching soccer. I like attending soccer. So that's the first one for me. Volleyball. The intriguing thing here is the thing I'm going to be keep my eye out for is, can we be as competitive, maybe even take a step forward, despite losing Kayla Giroux? And Kayla Giroux was, in my opinion, All American. I mean, she was one of the best players in the country. I know there were some really, really good schools out there that went a lot farther in the NCAA tournament than Wayne State did, but we watched Kayla Giroux. She was dominant. Nobody was getting that ball over her at the net. So, like, where does this team stand now? I do think they can continue to be as competitive, maybe even more competitive this upcoming season. We'll have to see, what happens here. And I was looking it up for the record. In the class of 2027 from high school, Sarah Giroux, Kayla Giroux's sister, has verbally committed to Wayne State. I don't think she's officially like signed on, but her sister's going to be here. We'll have to see what happens. I'm sure she's going to be fantastic here as her sister was. So that'll be exciting. How can we look forward to the upcoming season, Sangster, without talking about football? Let's just win some games. I mean, like realistically, like we don't have to go 500 for me. We have to show we have to win 2 games. Like honestly, if we can win 2 games and look competitive, what that's going to tell me is, I believe, I haven't confirmed this for sure, that Coach Isaac is on 1 year. And it's really like, try it out, get this guy in here, see what he can build. Is this our coach for the foreseeable future? I really hope that it is. From the little bit that I've heard from him, don't swear at the football field. I really like what I hear from him. So, to me, it comes down to, let's at least put a couple W's, and I do mean a couple W's, and look like a competitive team that we can just do a complete 180 shift from what we've seen over the last couple of seasons. The men's basketball team, let's get back to the NCAA tournament. It's no secret that the transfer portal stinks. We lost 3 guards the previous season, before this last season, that went on to Division I or another Division II school, and those 3 players ended up being the lead scorers for each of those teams. That stinks. And we lost another guard this season who went a couple of miles up the road to a team that can't even compete in the NCAA tournament if they wanted to because they're blocked. But like, it's just the name of the college basketball and college sports in general, that you're gonna battle the transfer portal. Players are gonna come, players are gonna go. I don't know what you do about it other than you just have to adapt, get guys in there that you want, be looking for guys that want to come in and give it their all. And that's what you got there. So for me, this men's basketball team finding a way to make it to the NCAA tournament, that's my biggest hope for them. And then finally, also, I'm sorry, same for Wayne State baseball. Let's get back to, this is a team that has been doing that for a number of years. Let's get back to that, and let's give ourselves a spring sport to really get behind. In addition to the softball team, we need to come to a conclusion. After decades of Gary Bryce being at the helm for this Wayne State softball team, this is a team that won multiple GLIAC titles under Gary Bryce.
That went to a College World Series.
And we haven't been there since. So that leads you to the question of Gary Bryce was amazing. It is very, very hard to replicate a Gary Bryce. If you could buy a Gary Bryce at the store, everybody would be in line to go buy Gary Bryce at the store. You don't just have them available. Can we come to a conclusion about, do we have the staff and the resources in place around this Wayne State softball team to build this program, to build that team up to be a competitive D2 softball team again? Or is it time to transition? My hope is, I hope we do have the people in place, everything we've talked about around that staff. I hope, I like the people that we've talked to. I hope that is the case, but more than anything, I want to come to an answer on that one to determine, do we have to pivot and go and find, other resources, or can we like fully back who we have in place and be confident that they're going to be able to lead us to, anything like, Gary Bryce and staff were able to do back in the day. Those are my hopes, Sangster. Very, very winded. What are your thoughts?
Oh, responding to a few of yours, I'll touch on soccer and football because I think we're very much on the same page. Um, yeah, same thing with volleyball. Be as competitive. Can you make that next step? Make a return trip to the NCAA tournament. Get that first game off your back. At least make it into the second round. See what you can make happen there. We'll see what they can do. Not sure exactly how much production they're returning. We just love that phrase now. Same thing with men's basketball. I haven't really given much thought into winter or spring sports, to be honest with you. But I agree 100% that men's basketball, they definitely need to make the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball, I think I hope that they make the NCAA tournament. I think their goal is obviously to make the NCAA tournament. We're gonna have to see what they can make happen this year because you had a lot of players leave through graduation last year. That unfortunately they're not coming back. You've got basically an entirely new squad. A lot of players that they did have opportunities to see the floor last year, but they weren't necessarily starters. So are we going to see growth from some of the younger players? There are a few transfers coming in. Definitely not like a Sharita Brown type person where that they're going to be the number one going into the season. Definitely nothing like that anymore. Unfortunately, don't think we'll ever see that again, just given how the transfer portal is. You don't have to sit out when you transfer between schools on the same division. So unfortunately, I don't think Wayne State's ever going to be able to do that again. But the people that you did bring in, what can they do? Were they just younger players that weren't being utilized at their last school? Maybe there's something that Coach Lore sees in them that she can coach up, get them to be bigger contributors. We'll have to see. But this is going to be an almost entirely new Wayne State women's basketball team, absent McKenna Ferguson was one of your big starters. Emily Holman had some time. Annabelle Ayrold had time. AJ Rickley, now as a sophomore, had some good minutes as a freshman. Uh, Coco Sylvester, DeMatt Asbury, Maddie Bernard, they're your returners now. Those weren't exactly names that were being announced first thing by the announcer at Wayne State. They may be now. You never know. So some of the hopes that I'd had, though, at least looking at sports, soccer, again, we have no idea what this team is going to look like. We don't follow high school soccer, definitely not high school women's soccer. Trusting that Coach Steinhardt has brought in a team to that can be competitive within the GLIAC. I did pull up the GLIAC record book. GLIAC has been sponsoring women's soccer Division II level since '95. Since 2005, Grand Valley has won it in 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11. You're never going to guess this. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2020, which was played in the spring of 2021. Finally, there's some changes here. Ferris State wins it. 2021, they win it. Grand Valley wins it again. 22. Finally, 23, Northern Michigan wins it. Northern Michigan wins it again in 24. I think Grand Valley won it again in 25. So it is exactly what you said. Grand Valley has dominated uh, the conference as far as women's soccer goes, usually by going perfect conference seasons the entire way. So again, Wayne State is stepping into it, being a brand new team. Yeah, you would like to think that the Detroit soccer scene has a lot of good players around it. Certainly some younger players, some transfers coming in from other schools. So we'll see what they can make happen. I have again no real expectation, but just a hope that they can hold their own in a conference. Don't do what Roosevelt did and go 0-12-12 their first year playing. I don't think that Wayne State is going to do that. I think Wayne State's in a much better position than Roosevelt ever was. Football, I think we're also on the same page. Uh, I put in at least having a couple wins on the board. You cannot do what Northern Michigan did uh, about 2 and 3 seasons ago now, where they went 0 for 2 seasons in a row. No, that is unacceptable. But at the same time, get a couple wins on the board, look competitive in at least most of your games. Some of them we know there's going to be the longest of long shots, Ferris, Grand Valley, those ones. But if you're not going to get like, just don't get blown out. Show something here that we can latch on to and don't go over again. That's kind of what I'm hoping for with football. Looking at the rest of everything else around campus, uh, not necessarily sports, but Wayne State athletics uh, adjacent. Let's fix the dang billboard along the lodge. That's a huge revenue opportunity. It's been out of commission for a couple years. It looks bad. I think it could be huge for Wayne State. Bring some revenue into this place, replace it with I don't know, a big digital billboard or something along that same line about making money. Do whatever it takes to get more advertising dollars here. I have no issue. I know some of the purists are going to say, no, you can't do that. Tasteful jersey patches. Find a local business, a local sponsor that is willing to front that. It's not that hard to make a patch look good on a green uniform. I'm certain we have very good graphic designers that can make it happen. I'm okay with that. Some other people that might not be, but doing whatever you can to get more advertising dollars here. I've seen some more corporate sponsorships already pop up with Wayne State Athletics. Figure out something for the naming rights for the field house. This was supposed to be done when it opened. It never has. I think that can get some more dollars coming into the athletic department for Wayne State. Finally figuring out the alcohol situation, especially at basketball games. I couldn't care less at football games. We tailgate beforehand. It doesn't matter to me. It's just an optics thing. You have the board approval to do this for the past couple of years now. It hasn't happened yet. The basketball one especially bothers me because during the cruise games, there's already the same vendor there that serves beer and wine. What am I missing that we can't do it for Wayne State games? But those are some of the hopes that I have, that not just on the sports side, but on the admin side, that maybe we can figure out over the course of this academic year.
Man, you make a really good point about that billboard. I never really thought about the fact that you're literally at the intersection of the Lodge and I-94, which is
Yep.
a lot of car traffic. And like, there's some serious advertising. And one of the things that I thought about, it's not so athletic centered. And I think I did see some folks working on it when I was driving home recently. The pedestrian bridge that connects basically like was parking structure two over to the athletic campus.
Mm-hmm.
Why that is not a pedestrian bridge that just says Wayne State University right across the sides over the fence of it, to just be like,
Oh,
here
that'd
you
be
are,
sweet.
you now see it, like how I think Auburn Hills has that. I don't think it says Oakland, I think it says like the city of
Yeah,
Auburn Hills, like
it's Auburn. Yeah, it says
Flag City USA or whatever. When you're down in Finley, it's
Finland.
very obvious where you are. So
Yep.
like, it's one of those things, like it's a bit of an eyesore right now. And by the way, it's closed, it's been closed for a while, so like, just redo it, put Wayne State University over the top, like whatever. It kind of goes along with the
I think we have
guidelines
to
of like,
talk to our state legislature for that one, but
yeah, more than likely it's a Michigan, it's a Michigan
MDOT.
highway. But I don't know, it just made me think about that. But yeah, I totally back you on the on the billboard situation. So those are our hopes for what we have coming up. Uh Small tasks, let's all deliver. But no, like realistically, like let's all, if you're listening, you support this team, show up, support these teams, be loud, be proud, share the good stuff, and be behind these athletes. Let's try to get them to, hit the marks that they want to get to that part of the season that they want to get to. So with that being said, it's finally time. Sangster, give me a whoop whoop if you're listening.
Whoop,
2026,
whoop.
2027 is upon us. And we're going to start out with none other than the first brand new sport we've had since Wayne State women's golf team joined, the women's soccer team. So, coached by Doug Steinert, Avery Fenchel, and Haas Dowd, this team is loaded, of course, with transfers because it's a new team. We got a lot of freshmen coming in. We have an entirely new team. A bunch of people probably didn't even know each other until they got on campus, which is perfectly fine by me because you're under a new brand, you're under a new team, under new coaching staff. Let's see what's going to happen here. They start out, and would it not be any better than just the women's soccer team starting out the 2026 to 27 athletic season? Of course not. August 27th at 4 p.m. This team will be at Northwood University taking on Northwood. And this is what's starting out the season saying, so how exciting is that?
Very exciting.
Yeah,
I'm
it's just like how do you beat that? Like this is a new team. They
Yeah.
started out. Would it not be amazing if they went out there and just smoked Northwood 11-0 or whatever they say in soccer? That's totally what they say in soccer. But that would be fantastic. I'm going to be excited to follow that one along. And then one of the ones that I'm absolutely prioritizing trying to make it out to the M10 Lodge Battle. The Wayne State women's soccer team heads up to Detroit Mercy on Sunday, August 30th at 7 p.m. to take on the Detroit Mercy Titans.
Yeah, really big way to welcome in the new Wayne State soccer program. Definitely some big things happening the week after, but it all starts now uh, at Northwood and at Detroit Mercy. Moving ahead to volleyball, there is lots of volleyball action if maybe soccer's not your thing, or you don't feel like driving up to Midland, or don't want to go to. Actually, no, these are on different days. It doesn't matter. You can do all of these if you want. It is the Warrior Invitational. There is lots of volleyball action happening at the Mathi, starting on Friday at 2:30 o'clock p.m. versus Quincy. Friday at 7 versus Hillsdale. Moving on to two Saturday games versus Northwood, sensing a theme here, and Saturday at 5 versus Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Ohio is not included.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be exciting. I remember definitely last season, it's probably been the last couple of seasons, if I recall correctly, that this has happened to where
Yep,
if you love
definitely last year.
volleyball, there's so much volleyball going on at the Mathi, and every day's got two matches. So again, I want to say that 12:30 match against Northwood on Saturday is one that I'm going to try to make it out to just to, get at least one opportunity to see the volleyball team in action this season. But really going back to what my hope for the season was, which is let's try to be as competitive or even take a step ahead, and it really does
Yeah,
start this weekend. I mean, these are all teams that are in the
they're in your
Midwest, so
region.
yeah, they're in your region. So like these aren't just like early season games, these aren't exhibition, like these mean something as you get closer to the NCAA tournament selection show and all that. They're going to be looking back at matches like this. So you don't just breeze past these and say, oh, well, it's non-conference, whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, you could do that a little bit, but you can't do that too much. Like, these are going to matter a little bit. So, early season, a little bit of a different look for this team. Same coaching staff, same fantastic coaching staff. I mean, they've put together some teams over the seasons that we've been covering, honestly, since we've been at Wayne State. So that'll be really exciting to see there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to take a quick break from looking ahead. We're actually going to look back a bit at the fencing squad because it's going to be a few weeks before we're talking fencing. So you get your fix right now. A few weeks ago at the Central American and Caribbean Games, uh, Wayne State fencer Annabella Acuero won the gold in the women's foil.
Yeah, I mean this was one of those like quiet events that we saw get posted out there on the athletic site
On the gram.
on the gram. And it just kind of like silently flies under the radar, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, like this is actually kind of a little bit of a big deal. So, congrats to Anna Asuero Gonzalez. That's a really cool showing. And again, before anything else happened, Wayne State Athletic season related, she was able to go down to I don't actually recall where this one was.
Santo Domingo.
There you go. Sangster's got the notes ready. Just a fantastic showing. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come for her. But again, it's going to be a couple of weeks before we're really, really diving into fencing. But
Yeah.
definitely had to call that one out. And then Sangster, we're not going to be talking too much about football this week. So if football is your thing, get lost. Like we don't care about you. We'll be back next week to talk a lot about that. Again, as I mentioned, we have some special things planned for next week. We're definitely going to dedicate a good section of the episode to previewing the Wayne State football season, working ourselves up to that Thursday home season home opener. And
Against
yeah, also against Northwood. Yeah, there's a lot of Northwood going on. If only they could be in the GLIAC still instead of that other conference. That's what we got, Sangster. What
Which-
else?
with football, we will have a special guest on the Warrior House podcast. You're not going to want to miss it. But I think that's it for looking ahead. We don't have a football game to talk about right now, so you got to look forward to looking ahead to the next episode of the Warrior House podcast. But I think we covered it all. We covered last year. We covered the beginning of this year. I think we're good on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good season. Very excited for it. So the next you hear from us, you'll be listening to this podcast. You'll probably be checking us stuff on Instagram. We could try to get some clips out throughout the week, letting people know what we talk about on the podcast here. Otherwise, you'll see some social media stuff if we're able to make it out to some of the events this coming weekend. And we'll be back next week to talk about everything that happened over the upcoming week, preview football and the entire upcoming week of Wayne State Athletics as we do per usual. So with all of that being said, we appreciate all of you for listening in on episode 133 of the Warrior House podcast.
And remember, it's always a great day to be a Wayne State Warrior. Holy fuck.
That's good.
And
Yeah,
I just said fuck on YouTube. That's awesome.